So welcome and thank you for joining us as we celebrate the dedication of the newest addition to the Albuquerque's public art collection. It's always a great day when we have the opportunity to add something permanent to our city's cultural landscape. And today we're dedicating a piece that is truly remarkable. It's bold in its message, ambitious in its scale, and a perfect addition to the historic neighborhood of Barajas. Public art belongs to everyone. You don't need a ticket, an invitation, or a special occasion to experience it. It helps shape the places where we gather and the stories we tell about our city. Today we're dedicating People Power Mosaic by Shepard Fairey. Right. A work that celebrates community, participation, and the power of people coming together. Whether you follow Shepard's work for years or you're seeing it for the first time today, this mural reminds us that art can spark conversation, inspire reflection, and bring people together, just like today. And so before we begin, I'd like to thank everyone who made today's dedication possible. Thank you to our public art program staff, led by Public Art Manager Michael Ogilvie, Matt Carter, Noel Begay, Madeline Sanchez, Robin Robinson, the Albuquerque Arts Board, the Rail Yards Market, our community partners, and everyone who worked behind the scenes to bring this project from vision to reality. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce Mayor Tim Keller. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that he always says yes to art. From murals and public art to performances and cultural events, he has consistently celebrated the creativity that makes Albuquerque such a vibrant city. He embraced this project with enthusiasm from the very beginning. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Tim Keller.
Well, good afternoon, Albuquerque. This is a very, very special occasion. And of course, first and foremost, we already mentioned him, but I will tell you, long ago, after growing up here, I spent 1 year in San Francisco. And I remember walking around and seeing this sticker and image everywhere. And I was like, is that Andre the Giant? You all know what I'm talking about. That was a little bit before the internet. And so it took me a while. I would ask around, I'd say, what is this? What does it mean? And also, is it that wrestler guy? Anyway, those of you who know Shepard Fairey know that this was one of his breakout moves, breakout pieces of art. And so we are so grateful to welcome the guy who was viral before the internet. Please give him another round of applause, Shepard Fairey. Now, it is Sunday morning. We're gathered in this special place, in many ways something we call our industrial cathedral. And this place for us is a testament to our city at the crossroads. This is a story many of us are familiar with. It's the story of us. It's also the story of the rail trail. You know, this story started with our indigenous communities. They located here because this was a crossroads between the river and the trading path right into Harris Canyon that you see outside. That's why we, as humanity, that's why we're here. And that thesis has continued all the way through time to this current day. And we know the other crossroads that happened here. El Camino Real on 4th Street, right there, right? The Spanish colonial version of that. We know the Santa Fe Trail. We know Route 66, celebrating 100 years, that essentially Anglo crossroads that we saw during and after statehood. This is the story of Albuquerque, but part of that story is also a lot of trauma, a lot of challenge. This is the story of colonization. It is the story of rebellion and of revolt. It is the story of land being taken, of water being taken, but it's also the story of survival. And it's more than survival. It's a story of us as a community that found a way to live together throughout all that history, and not just survive, but champion the culture that each entity, each people that came through that crossroads brought. That's us. We are resilient. We are resilient like no other place in the country. And we are resilient because we not just survived, We celebrated our own history. We celebrated that crossroads, and we celebrate it today. And how do we keep that alive? A huge part is public art. That's right. Public art has been healing for our families, for our own history. And you all know Oñate, like this is not just olden times, right? Public art continues to heal. It also continues to challenge. Public art also is why we survived in many ways. It is the message, the carrier of that culture that we now cherish. And so for us, it's also inspiration and it is devotion to Albuquerque, to Burque, to this place, this city at the crossroads. And that is fundamentally what is also behind this mural. You see some amazing things in this mural. You have an homage to our indigenous, our native communities here. You have, of course, the city of the future, the railroad coming right here. This stop on the rail trail, which tells the story that I just told you, celebrated prominently because we're supposed to be the city of the future. You know, Santa Fe was the old capital. And for some reason, they were like, it's too old and too stodgy and too traditional. And so 70 years later, the Spanish created Albuquerque to be the city of the future. And so that has actually played out, whether it's the train, whether it's our labs, whether it's all the things that we're doing now. We continue to try and cherish and hold on to our culture at the same time as embracing the future. That is also, I believe, what makes us a role model for the rest of the country. Because we can get along and love each other no matter how different we are, and we can celebrate that difference in the process. So I'm going to close by inviting up someone special here today before we get to our real special artist, but you'll understand why. I also just want to mention part of what Shepard has done with this is reflected on Barelas. I know we have some local Bareleños here, and I know that this symbolized the birth of new Albuquerque. People from all over the country and all over New Mexico came to work in this facility. That's what we did here. This was the place that literally connected modern New Mexico into Albuquerque. And so that's celebrated by the images you see here, especially the worker here who, this is when our African-American community started coming into Albuquerque, and it's when all rural New Mexicans flooded into the big city for work and for life and for the future of their family. And part of that, generationally, was also a woman. She was the first Hispanic woman elected to statewide office, and she was the first, there's a little caveat, but she was the second woman to ever serve as governor in the country. That is also who is honored right here. And if I get the generations right, her great-great-granddaughter, maybe I messed up the greats, I got it right, is here with us today. So please welcome her. Come on up.
Good morning, I'm Monique Cisneros. It's an incredible honor to stand before you as the great-great-granddaughter of Soledad Chavez de Chicon, known by her family as Lala, a remarkable woman whose life was defined not by titles, but by service. When I think about my great-great-grandmother, I don't think about the history, just think about the history she made as New Mexico's first woman elected Secretary of State or as the first woman to serve as acting governor. I think about the courage it took for a woman of her time to step into public office with conviction, determination, and an unwavering belief that government exists to serve its people. She believed leadership wasn't about power, it was about purpose. She entered politics during a time when opportunities for women were limited, yet she refused to allow barriers to define her future. Instead, she opened doors that had long been closed, not only for herself, but for countless women who would follow. What I admire most about her is that she never viewed people through the lens of a political party, a race, or division. She saw people, she saw communities, she saw possibilities. Her focus was always on bringing people together, recognizing our diversity is not a weakness, but one of greatest strengths. She understood that lasting progress comes when we work alongside one another for a greater good of everyone. That philosophy feels just as important today as it did nearly a century ago. I often wonder what she would think if she could see New Mexico today. I believe she would be proud, not because history remembers her name, but because the values she lived by continue to inspire generations after her. Her footprint did not end with her public service. It continued through her family. Because of the path she forged, future generations were empowered to serve their communities in many different capacities, whether through public office, education, healthcare, business, military service, volunteerism, or community leadership. Her example taught us that service is one of the greatest gifts we can offer. She showed us that making a difference doesn't always require holding elected offices. It requires showing up, caring deeply, and working to leave our communities better than we found them. As her great-great-granddaughter, I carry immense pride in her legacy, but I also carry a responsibility. A legacy is something we inherit, simply to admire. It is something we are called to continue to do. Today, her story reminds us that one person's courage can echo across generations. One decision to serve can inspire countless others. One voice created opportunities for people not yet born. My great-great-grandmother believed in possibility. She believed in public service. She believed in the unity over division, hope over fear, and progress over complacency. May we honor her not only by remembering what she accomplished, but by embracing the values she lived every day: integrity, compassion, inclusion, and service to all people. If we continue to build bridges instead of walls, seek understanding instead of division, and dedicate ourselves to serving others, then her legacy will continue to live on, not only through our family, but through every person committed to making our community stronger. It is with deep gratitude, immense pride, and great hope that I honor the life and legacy of my great-great-grandmother, Soledad Chavez de Chacon. Thank you to Shepard for capturing her story through your art, and thank you to Mayor Keller and the city for bringing these stories forward. I appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you, Monique. Thank you so much for being here today. This mural now becomes part of one of Albuquerque's most treasured gathering places, and few organizations have helped activate and revitalize this space quite like the Rail Yards Market. Please join me in welcoming the manager of the Rail Yards Market, Alaska Piper.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alaska, and I have the privilege to serve as the executive director of the Rail Yards Market. If you don't know, the Rail Yards Market is the nonprofit entity that manages all of the public events and the free services to the community. We've gathered within these walls together with you all. I truly believe this is a people-powered place. For over a decade, and together with all of you, we have hosted more than 100,000 visitors and locals alike every year. We've supported over 500 businesses annually. And with all of your help, we continue to pursue our nonprofit mission, which is to celebrate the culture and cuisine of our dear New Mexico. We do this first and foremost by the first part of our mission, which is collaborating with and reflecting our historic neighborhoods. The historic neighborhoods surrounding the Rail Yards Market are Barelas, South Broadway, San Jose, South Valley, and downtown. Together, they cradle the rail yards, and many of our neighbors' ancestors are responsible for building the rail yards and forging the modern Albuquerque that we know and love so much today. Yes. So we've gathered together in these buildings for many, many years, and we were a little bit shocked, I'm not gonna lie, when a big wall went up over our beautiful windows. We were like, ah! So when I first learned about the mural and it being an out-of-state artist, I did bring up my concerns and some community concerns to our partners at Public Art, and they worked really quickly to assemble a stakeholder community. So a stakeholder panel with representatives from the neighborhoods, from the Barelas Community Coalition, from the tenants here on site. We all got to contribute our hopes, dreams, stories, and history to Shepard. And I'm just really honored to have been a part of that process. At the Rail Yards Market, we truly believe amazing things happen when everyone has a seat at the table, and we're always working together to serve our community creatively and equitably. Thank you for celebrating food, art, and music with us, and we appreciate everything that Shepard has brought to this beautiful community space. I did want to share that this is one of the many beautiful public art pieces at the rail yards. We have more than 6 murals here done by local artists, and at the end of August, we will be unveiling another mural done by a local South Valley artist, Jade Cruz. We are going to be doing that event on August 30th. That's for Red or Green Day. So come down, celebrate local New Mexican food, and make a ristra with us. And I'm honored to introduce one of my amazing peers in the community, Caleb, who is on the Public Arts Board.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Caleb Berganchik. I'm the chair of the Public Arts Board, and I have the distinct honor of serving District 7 in that capacity. I want to thank all of you for choosing to spend your Sunday morning celebrating public art in Albuquerque. So please give yourself a round of applause for being here and supporting public art. And what is art but a celebration of being? So I guess what I'm really trying to say is thank you for being in this space and in this moment, and thank you for all of the spaces and moments that you occupy in your individual lives. Since 1978, the Public Art Program has purchased and commissioned works of art for public spaces across the city through general obligation bonds. Those general obligation bonds and the diligent work of our public art staff have made Albuquerque a leader in national public art. Today, Shepard Fairey's Power Mosaic joins an impressive collection of nearly 50 murals, with 3 more currently underway, maintained by Public Art as part of the public art policy adopted in 2014. These murals were painted by artists from all walks of life, from our neighborhoods, and from across the country. They are a reflection of our shared belonging to this place and a reminder that we can belong without the cowardice and cruelty of bans and borders. It's always an honor to be asked to accept works into our public art collection, and in honor of that honor, I'd like to preface the exception with a poem. Today, I offer Birthday Neighbors by Albuquerque poet Renee Mullen, originally published in the Albuquerque Arts and Culture Poetry Anthology, Open Hearted Horizons. Lattice streets and wafting fire-roasted green chili connect us. Where Christmas is red and green and pinon blankets the city and fireside dreams, here we burn to better ourselves and our community. Chili, sage, zozobra, the only place in America where Route 66 collides with Route 66, where balloons invade sunrises, backyards, where art divides north and south, murals go this way, poetry goes that way, and tourists flock to turquoise jewelers from greener spaces, always asking, why is it so brown? So many neighborhoods, so many shadows. The oldest buildings are shackled by the past, their choices and those taken. This new Mexico whiptail sheds its enchantment in order to plunder its land of the gated call it violent, and those without know otherwise. In a poor community, a castle made of diamonds and gold stands at attention as proof that sacrificing eyes and ears makes for silent screams as sun sets. Harvest the smoke, hear the echoes, turn it breathtaking, turn it magic. Renee Mullen. And with that, the Albuquerque Art Board and the Public Art Program are deeply honored that Power Mosaic will become part of the magic of the city's public art collection and add to Albuquerque's mural legacy for residents and visitors alike to find connection and belonging again. Everyone, please join me in one more round of applause for Shepard Fairey.
Thank you so much, Caleb. And thank you for officially accepting Power Mosaic into the City of Albuquerque's public art collection. It is now my privilege to introduce the artist behind this incredible work. Shepard Fairey's work has inspired audiences around the world, and today we're honored that Albuquerque is now home to one of his public artworks. Please join me in welcoming Shepard Fairey.
Wow, thank you. I have been really moved by the welcome I've felt here. I'm not a local, so this is a really humbling opportunity because I've been brought in to do something for a space that has an incredible history, for a culture that's sacred, and that responsibility is something I take seriously. I needed to be educated. So I'm so grateful to all the stakeholders with all their amazing knowledge, their perspectives, their generations of experience in Albuquerque and New Mexico, even here in proximity to the rail yards, that helped me to understand what to emphasize with the art. As an artist, what's always been important to me is how art can make people feel and think. It can draw people into conversations they wouldn't have otherwise. And my hope is always that art will make people a little bit kinder, a little bit more open. It will touch the best part of their humanity and allow them to see the best part of other people's humanity. One of the things that I've seen in Albuquerque with all the people I've interacted with, and maybe I've just interacted with the right crowd. I tend to attract the cool people, you know? But is that there's a belief in everyone's dignity and the validity of everyone's perspective. Now, that's not something that's always borne out in how things work economically, how things work with credit for people. So that's why with this mural, I wanted to make absolutely sure that things like the intense backbreaking efforts of the rail yard workers who were largely from marginalized communities or working class communities, Latino, Native American, on the poorer side, people who just did really hard labor, that they were acknowledged here and presented with dignity. So that's what this worker symbolizes. My belief in how symbols and traditions inform culture, and sometimes the origin of those symbols and those traditions isn't even understood, but the powerful meaning, the way that it guides us to have a belief in protecting the environment, to valuing each other, to seeing the life cycle as something that we all need to consider, where we fit in and how the next generation fits in. So many of those things come from Native culture, and yet they've been assimilated into the broader New Mexican and Albuquerque culture. But whether it's the Three Sisters Mountains, the turquoise, the Roadrunner, the bloom of the yucca plant, which is a plant which is beautiful but has to be resilient because it grows in harsh conditions. All of these things are such incredibly beautiful symbols and metaphors for things I care about that I hope to be universal, but they have their foundations in Native culture. So I wanted to acknowledge that. I also want to say that I'm a progressive. I believe in progress. And to have the Mayor Keller, invite me here along with Arts and Culture and Public Art, when the mayor is a fan of heavy metal, and there were years when that would brand you as a Satan worshiper. I'm a street artist. I come from, where I wanted to share my work with the people, but I didn't always have permission. And now I get to do this. That's progress, y'all. And despite the labels, believe it or not, we were always approaching everything with the intention of being good citizens, good neighbors, caring about the community. I know that, and a lot of people who are mislabeled are those people too, so keep that in mind. That's a message that I always want to put across. Yeah, really, so many people have said great things. It's amazing that Monique, Soledad's great-great-granddaughter, is here. I loved what she had to say. That basically embodied everything I believe about equality, about public service. So I'm gonna end it there. You've all been really patient, but I believe in the power of art. I'm so proud to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for welcoming me. And thank you, Albuquerque, for supporting the arts.
Well, we're going to begin to wrap things up. We want you to all enjoy the mural. And I also want to close by telling you what is also next. This mural is really a bridge. It's a bridge of the crossroads of the coming of the railroad, literally across Route 66. That's that part of the crossroads, and that is this story. But now this place is going to be a new crossroads. Interestingly, the crossroads of film and media in Albuquerque. A lot of people ask me what's on the other side of this wall. And in October, it is going to be New Mexico's first film academy run by CNN. So we want to invite you all back for that in October. And we want to give, once again, a big thank you to Shepard Fairey for helping us bridge this crossroads. And just so folks, he's generously offered to hang out a little bit. He does have some media to do and some other things, but if you want to stick around for a little bit, wonderfully, he's going to stick around for you. Okay, thanks so much, Albuquerque, and God bless.